wee quickie for yous. A Makita radio. Now, this isn't a house radio, it's a site radio, so it's going to be dirty. By the looks of it, this one's owned by a plasterer. What's wrong with it? Well, there's the problem. Control knob, volume dial, and for tuning, it's completely gone. It's flapping about in the breeze. It's doing nout. Need to sort that out. As radios go, as long as they switch on, they should be able to be repaired. This one, not too bad a unit to work on. Unlike a lot of site radios, most of the parts inside are either one complete piece or not available at all. Some of the Bosch ones, you can only buy the cover, a few bits on the outside, nothing else. Same as the Milwaukee one. The Makitas, you can actually get a lot of parts inside, but once you start getting onto the actual big circuit boards, they can sometimes be too expensive to repair. Anyway, this is only a wee small part, so we'll see if we can fix this up. First, going to have to get out these socket head screws in the front, because as a site radio, they're generally full of crap. Get them cleaned out. Now, it'd be nice if that was all there was to it. There's two other little screws, just to confuse matters, you know. Down on here, you've one here, and you've one there. This is where the long bits come in handy for wee jobs like this, because these holes are actually quite deep. Once the head loosened off, you can now take this off. Just be careful with the wires inside, don't strain or pull anything yet. Start taking off all these little connectors to free out this head. Try to remember where they all go. Now that's a new one. Normally this wee antenna lead here normally has a wee spade connector. This is actually bolted on and soldered here. So I don't want to go to the bother of unsoldering this. So we'll just work around it. Now, this is our problem here. So undo that, and undo this. So this is what I want. First, grab hold of your knob and give it a good pull. That's okay. What's actually happened is the nuts come off, but also it's actually not doing anything when you turn the dial. So more than likely water or something to get onto that. Yeah, dirt destroyed the potentiometer itself. That's gone. But Makita being Makita, You can buy it on its own. On potentiometer. Now, while I'm at it, I'm just going to give this here front display a bit of a clean. Don't have to go mad. You don't have to clean the entire thing spotless. This wee black bore where the knob's going to go, you want that cleaned out so there's no plaster left inside of it. You want to give the actual glass screen a bit of a clean as well. Make sure the buttons all go down, they're not jammed up. Everything else, leave as is. Don't need to make it spotless. It'll be back to the same condition in about a week anyway. Now, fitting the actual potentiometer couldn't be easier. That's the hole for it. There's this little dent above it. That corresponds. There's a little ridge here on the potentiometer. That drops into that wee hole. It sits there. Wash over the top of it, and a nut holds it all down. It's a 10mm nut, so just snug it up then. A 10mm socket, reasonably tight, just enough so it doesn't come loose, but you also don't bust the housing. And that's it. I'll just clean that up. Tidies up quite nicely because there's actually a rubber cover on it. The plaster just breaks off. Line it up. Push it on. There's the button working and the potentiometer. Now it's just a matter of putting everything back together. A little bit tricky getting this all in. You have to hold the cover, hold the board and click in wires all at the same time. Just don't force anything. If you don't think you're lining it up right, don't push them in, because some of these have 2, 3 or 4 pins. And if you don't put them in right and put it at an angle, you can end up bending the pins instead of putting it on. So just take your time. They should just slide together. That's all of that board. Now just make sure cables aren't getting crossed over. Needs to sit flush for the rest. As you can see, this is not sitting flush, so I'm wrong. It's this cable that's in the way. Now, that's better. On this, you can actually replace quite a bit of stuff. Your case, speaker covers, the actual speaker themselves, your aerial, battery terminals, all these wee boards down in here, contacts down in here for your different types of batteries, actual main battery connector, distribution boards over here. Everything is actually available, including this board here, but this is the most expensive board. Generally, if this gives trouble, you're not going to be fixing it. But everything else is available. So if the batteries work and your actual power socket doesn't, it's going to be your connector here for your main power supply. You can actually replace this board here separately. Opposite, same thing if it's the opposite, works in the power, not the battery. You can either replace the battery contacts or the power distribution board here. They're grand in that way. You can place certain parts. Most radios you can't actually do it. Most brands don't let you. Makita's not so bad. But when the main board gets trouble, that's it. It's going to be too expensive to fix. Last one, just down on here. That should be us. Now, what I should have done before I actually put that cover on was to top it up. A few loose bits of plaster floating around. Yeah, that'll do. Don't get bogged down on getting the thing clean, because it's a working tool. The boy who owns it is not going to be keeping it clean anyway, whenever he gets it back. Plus, it is a professional tool anyway. You shouldn't have to keep it clean for it to work. Now the aerial, for some reason, has a screw stuck into the middle of it. Maybe that's improving the reception, I don't know. But as long as it gets reception, it's alright. The aerial is actually just basically a wire with a rubber cover on it. There's nothing really to it. Don't forget about these two screws. This is actually one of the really old radios. This took every type of battery. 18 volt, 14.4, 10.8, an old NiCad 18 and 14 volts as well. So this could do everything. That should hopefully be it. Moment of truth. Nice one. I can't actually play any tunes because of copyright infringement. They do work. Everything else is working. All the buttons are functioning. And the volume control is working. Plus the center button is also working. That's her. Anyway folks, that is how you fix a Makita Radio DMR104 with a broken volume control button. Replace the PCB board holding the potentiometer, fixes your problem. Very small part, very cheap to replace. It's called a PCB encoder assembly. And this here's the part number. Look that up online. You'll get plenty of places selling it. Costs less than €20. Compared to the price of a new radio, well worth doing. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. Hopefully that'll help somebody fix their own radio. Cheers.